Hello, Easy Nation, and welcome to another Top 10. This is our last video of 2023. What a year. And so now we're going to go over our movies that or TV shows that are things. I'm also DarthEasy, by the way.
Oh, and I'm RainyCage.
So just as the top 10 movies work, we'll do its honorable mentions.
Okay.
10 through 6.
Got it.
5 through 2.
Okay.
And number 1.
All right.
Alright, so I'll start it off this time. My first honorable mention is Loki. I love Loki. I know, I don't know if I'm in the minority. I don't know what people's thoughts of Loki is, but Loki's the only thing from the MCU this year I actually enjoyed. Like Guardians 3 was fine, but...
What to say? What about Guardians 3?
It was fine, but it just was like, Loki is the one that, sci-fi wise, I absolutely loved. I love the story they go with in what's going on. I like the characters. I like what they did, and I don't think they'll be making another Loki. But who knows? You never know. And especially with the state in the MCU right now. But Loki, for me, it was the only series that I was like, I would see a season 2 of that, and I enjoy season 2 of it. My second honorable mention is Good Omens, a series on Amazon that stars David Tennant. I have a lot of David Tennant stuff in here this year, which I'm very happy about because I love that guy. But Good Omens, season 2. John Hamm's was absolutely incredible in the show. I also really liked, like I said, David Tennant and Michael Sheen. They have such a great chemistry with each other. I just like the story. It's very different. It's not as good as season 1, but still very good. I did hear they're doing a season 3 to wrap the story up. So, Good Omens, check it out. If you haven't checked it out on Amazon, they make good content. My third and final honorable mention is Slow Horses. Slow Horses is a show that I'd never finished before the year's over with. And I was flirting putting it at number 10, but I decided to throw it in as my last honorable mention. Gary Oldman is absolutely incredible. The show, he's hilarious. I love how his character is. If you like spy stuff, Slow Horses is your show. And yeah, that's my 3 honorable mentions.
This will be easy cross commentary because he watches way more TV than I do. Although he's good at recommending stuff. And Slow Horses, I do want to see. I feel like you've recommended Good Omens to me before too.
Yes.
I will say, I hated Loki. Season 2, it took me forever to get through. I was so bored. It's kind of like The Killers on our top 10 movie list.
No, that was just The Killer, sir.
Sorry, The Killer.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Give David Fincher more respect.
Anyways, my first honorable mention is Star Wars Visions Season 2. A lot of people don't like this, but I've been really liking this different animation studios takes on little tiny Star Wars stories. I don't think it was as good as the first season of Star Wars Visions, but I enjoyed it. I had a good time watching these. They're nice and easy, and I just do it in one go. And I like the different animation styles, the cool little stories, and I would be game for another season of this. I think it's something unique in the Star Wars world. My second honorable mention is Legend of Vox Machina Season 2. Kind of like Star Wars Visions, I really loved the first season of Legend of Vox Machina. This season was good. I enjoyed it, but I don't feel like I loved it as much as the first season. But it's funny. It's just a funny fantasy story. It's a little vulgar at times, but it's a good time. I really like the characters in Legend of Vox Machina. And then my last honorable mention is Big Mouth. I've kind of had a love-hate relationship with Big Mouth. Big Mouth is one of these shows on Netflix that is aggressively crude sometimes. It's not an easy kind of show, I don't feel like. So the first season was like kind of everybody loved it, and I did too. And then, I don't know, I kind of got bored. Well, I finally caught back up, watched season 6, and then I watched season 7, which had come out this year. And I really enjoyed season 7. I thought it's kind of a good, even though I don't think it is the finale, it's kind of a really good finale. There's some really good stories in there, some hilarious musical numbers. And yeah, I don't know. It's a weird show, but I enjoyed it. And I'm not the only one either. There's a lot of people that really like that show, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Those are my honorable mentions.
Never watched Big Mouth. Don't have any intention on watch it, so I can just breeze by that. This Box Machina, I really didn't like it, but there's better stuff to talk about. And Star Wars Visions, my problem with Star Wars Visions Season 2 was my problem with Star Wars Visions Season 2 is I can't think of one story that really, and it's been, like, after the first season of Star Wars Visions, I'm like, oh, there was the Jedi, the Ninth Jedi episode, there was the Jedi Bride episode, there was the Ronin episode. Season 2, I can't tell you one episode. Can you tell me what episode?
No, not right now. This came out earlier in the year.
It came around May.
Yeah, it's a long time ago in TV world.
Okay,
I will agree. It's not as good as season 1, but I enjoyed it.
Okay. All right. Now let's begin my 10 through 6. My number 10 is Lessons in Chemistry. This is the Apple series that stars Brie Larson. This is a show where she's a scientist. It's set in like I believe it's set near in the 50s, 60s. I can't remember what the timeline is. Brie Larson, she's a chemist. She doesn't get recognition because she's a woman. How dare they? But she likes cooking. And one of the guys from Kevin Sussman from Big Bang Theory says, so, man, your food's really good. Do you want to do our cooking show? Make a cookie show all around you. And the show actually is really, really good. The show is great. Brie Larson is she feels like how she is in Captain Marvel, very kind of like a zombie at times, but it's because that's how the character is written. And she does show emotion through the show. And the show is great. And the food looks delicious, which is how TV shows can be at times. But the show also has a lot of heart, especially the relationship that really breaks your heart in the first 3 episodes. So yeah, Lessons in Chemistry, if you haven't checked it out, it's a mini-series on Apple, so you don't have to commit a long time to it. I recommend checking it out.
Yes, you did. I watched the trailer too, and it looks good, and I probably will eventually watch that one.
Alright, my number 9 is Doctor Who. It's back on the top 10 list, and I am very happy because I was very down on Doctor Who for the last probably 5 years, and I didn't like the way the show was going, but we're bringing back Russell T Davies. David Tennant came back for the 60th anniversary, and they were awesome. Neil Patrick Harris played a villain, and he was absolutely crazy and awesome, bringing back a character all the way back from the 1960s of the first Doctor stories. And then we just had the Christmas special, which has the new Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor, which I have to say I'm very interested in. I like the story they are setting up. So Doctor Who is back. Even though it was just 4 episodes, I love the 4 episodes, and I'm glad to see Doctor Who back, and it's good. My number 8 is another show that brings back classic characters, and that is Star Trek Picard. Listen, Star Trek Picard, I've had a very rocky relationship. First season I liked. Second season I didn't like. Third season feels like the show I was promised all along, because we bring back the entire Next Generation cast. I'm talking Data, I'm talking Riker, I'm talking Worf, I'm talking the counselor character, I'm talking about the Dr. Beverly. All the characters are back, and if you love the Next Generation, this is the show for you. I was on the edge of my seat. I didn't watch the episode as it was coming out, and then as soon as I started watching it, I couldn't put my TV remote down. It was that good. Star Trek Picard is so good. If you have not checked out Season 3, it's good. If you haven't watched Season 1 or 2, I can say you can skip Season 1 or 2. Just know he's an old admiral. There's a couple of characters. There's like one character that's relevant from the first 2 seasons. But you can just like, oh yeah, they're just a Star Trek character. That's fine. My number 7 is Hijack. This is another Apple series, miniseries. I love my Apple miniseries; they're great. But this is Idris Elba. He's on a plane. They're going from somewhere, I think around Egypt to London, and the plane gets hijacked. And we're on this journey, and we're trying to stop this hijacking from something terrible happening. The show's great. Like I said, Idris Elba's great in the show. I love the characters. The action's very riveting, and I mean, it feels like non-stop, but more dramatic, and it's led by Idris Elba. So I think Hijack is a show. It's another Apple series you should check out.
There's a lot of shows I need to check out.
Alright, my number 6 is Ahsoka. I love Ahsoka. I don't get a lot of the hate for Ahsoka. Maybe just because I am such a hardcore Star Wars fan from the Clone Wars and Rebels, and I think the show that pays honor to what they did before. But then I also like the other news stories, like Balin was such a cool villain, such a cool new original character. I'm sad that we'll never get to see him play him again, but I'm sure they'll find someone really cool to play him again. Get that guy from One Piece. I'm fine with that. But I like Rosario Dawson. The one thing I don't like about the show is I didn't really like Sabine being a Jedi. I don't think she should have the Force. But it's fine. I can live with it.
She has a little bit of the Force.
Sure. She pulls the lightsaber and then pushes Ezra. She has a little more than a little bit of the Force. So, but other than that, I like the stories for setting up for the next season if that gets made, which I'm sure it will. So yeah, that's my 10 through 6.
I mean, I like it. I mean, like I said, I need to watch a lot of that stuff. I'm most upset that I really do need to watch Picard because I love Next Generation, and I've seen the first season. I have not watched 2 or 3.
Just skip 2, it's fine.
All right, well, my number 10 is You Season 4. This is a show that I have recommended to you multiple times, and you have not watched it still, and I am offended. You need to watch it. You will like it. It's this really cool show about this. He's a villain, but you're rooting for the villain the whole time, and or I do anyways. He's just such a good at being the villain. You feel bad for him sometimes, and you're like, why am I feeling bad for this person who's murdering people? But this one, they go to a different country. He's a professor this time. There's a lot of interesting intrigue. It's such a good show. I will say it's not as good as the earlier seasons. A lot of my shows are like that this year. But I still really enjoyed it. And I could go for a couple more seasons. I will say we're starting to get to where I think we should wrap up this show. And I think there is one more season, and then it's going to be over. But I really like it. My number 9 is Gen V. This is a great kind of spin-off to The Boys, which I love The Boys. Boys has always been on my list when it actually comes out. And this I wasn't really looking forward to because, it kind of looked like sometimes spin-offs don't really work. But this one does really work. It's kind of like X-Men style, like Professor Xavier's School for the Gifted, but with The Boys characters, so way crazier and more insane things going on. I like the main girl in this. She's like a bloodbender. It's kind of cool. It's gross, but it's cool. Lots of cool stories. You get some things that tie it to the Boys, but it's not really heavy-handed with that. It's got its own focus and its own story, which is cool. My number 8 is That 90s Show. I thought this show was so much better than it had any business being. It's hard. There's not a lot of kind of old school sitcoms anymore that I watch or can get behind. So I went into this with very low expectations. I love That 70s Show, and I was kind of blown away. It's really good. I liked the new characters. I liked how they were bringing in old characters for some episodes. And I know we're getting another season of this, and I want more of that. I want more of bringing in the old characters, but yes, we have these new characters with their own story. It was very fun, entertaining show. Number 7, The Mandalorian Season 3. This is probably the highest The Mandalorian's been in its 3 seasons for me, or I guess the lowest, if you revert.
Okay. Like, what?
Usually, I mean, Mandalorian Season 1 and 2 were very high on my list before, and this is not as good, but I still enjoyed it. There are some really good moments in The Mandalorian, and I still like the character, I still like the story. Yes, is it getting a little, I don't know. There's some stuff in the. Really, Mandalorian has always had a couple bad episodes. This one, I felt like there was multiple bad episodes this season, but I still want to see what happens. I wouldn't mind another season before we get kind of the Mando wrap-up movie or whatever we're going to be getting. And I still enjoy the show, so I'm still a Mandalorian fan. A lot of bandwagon fans are dropping off now. My number 6 is Ahsoka, same as your number 6. I understand some of the hate. I did not particularly like the last 2 episodes. I also don't like, because I know Disney, they have no plan for what to do with Baylan Skoll. I know they don't, and hopefully they'll figure something out because the actor died. But I thought the episode, I think it's like 4 or 5, where we go back into the Clone War, is a masterpiece of Star Wars anything. And that alone puts this show in my top 10. But I thought Rosario Dawson was really good. A lot of people at first were like, oh, she's very monotone and she's just not, she's not. But there was a purpose behind that, because once she has that episode, that masterpiece episode, her attitude changes. She becomes a little more lighthearted and a little different. So I liked all the side characters. I agree. I wasn't a big fan of Sabine having force powers, but whatever. I saw it coming. I figured it was going to happen. So, but I enjoyed Ahsoka. I'm looking forward to another season of it. Have they announced another season of this? I don't think they have yet.
I don't think they have either.
Yeah, so it might not, because the Star Wars TV verse is crumbling just like the MCU. So we'll see what happens. But that's my 10 through 6.
Yeah, I mean, just carry on with Ahsoka. I mean, I did really enjoy the show, and I mean, Ahsoka's been through some shit in 30 years.
Yeah.
So, and she went through a war,
Yeah.
then she's exiled, then she has to fight her master, who turns out to be the evil Sith Lord Darth Vader, and then, so are you really going to be in a happy spirit after all that crap? So, come on, people. I do agree with you about Disney, but it's stay floaty.
I know.
I want to put a little asterisk on there. Mandalorian I enjoyed. It's just I didn't like where they went with it, the story wise, with Bo-Katan being the main character instead of Din Djarin, because I like his story better. And there was some good moments, but there were a few episodes, like especially the episode on Coruscant. I was just like, I
like that episode.
I didn't like that episode.
The Jack Black episode that I thought.
That episode too. That episode, but it was cool seeing battle droids again. And that night show was just okay. It was fine. It's a watchable show, which is not a great show. All right, my number 5 is Gen V. I really enjoyed Gen V. This is a show that I pretty much binge, and I was really blown away. And one thing I really did like about Gen V is something that the Star Wars stuff and the Marvel stuff has not really figured out, and it's how to have a shared universe. Because there were characters that show up, there's references there. I was like, oh, that's for the boys. That's for the boys too. So I felt like, and it didn't feel forced. Especially like when Homelander shows up at the end. I was like, that makes perfect sense. The CEO's there. She said, hey, Homelander, get here. And because he's bestly interested in what's going on in his company. So I think, and I'm really curious to see what they do with Gen V going forward. Because I don't know if it got a season 2 confirmed or not. I mean, I'm sure there is with that cliffhanger. And it's one of Amazon's probably one of the more popular stuff. So yeah, Gen V was awesome. I want to see more of that. My number 4 is Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I raved about it last year during the top 10, and guess what? I'm going to do that again, because Strange New Worlds is awesome. I love how each episode is its own little story. I love seeing the characters growing. We get to see a little more Captain Kirk this season. At the end of season 2, they introduced Scotty. I think that was really cool. The show ends on a cliffhanger, which I'm really ready for another season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, so I'm hoping to see that rather than Star Trek Discovery, because I don't really like that one that much. So yeah, Strange New Worlds was awesome. If you haven't checked out any Star Trek stuff, Strange New Worlds is so good. My number 3, and this was number 1 pretty much all year, and then I just have to look in the mirror and say, DarthEasy, what is the show that you actually really enjoyed? And Last of Us, I have to put down a list, because if I didn't have the Last of Us TV series, I still have the Last of Us video game. So I can live without that. So that's why I'm putting Last of Us number 3. But that being said, Last of Us season 3 is awesome. Or Last of Us first season is absolutely awesome. Bella Ramsey becomes Ellie, and she really carries the show. Pedro Pascal as Joe, a little different from the video game Joe, but I still feel like the impact's still the same as it was in the video game. And I liked how the changes were made in a very smart way, and I loved how they brought in the video game actors into the show. And actually, one of my favorite episodes was the episode with the 2 guy episode.
Yeah.
And it was really hard. It really gets you to your heartstrings. So yeah, Last of Us was awesome. I loved the first season of the show. My number 2, this show, I mean, I love it. I mean, I'm repping it today, and that is Ted Lasso. the show, I love the show since the show started. I got him to watch the show, and I've seen the show probably multiple times. And the show just is great. It has a great finale, the great character arcs, where the story really ends up. And like, if they want to do more, they can do more. If they don't want to do more, but they don't have to do more. But I think what they did and just the stories are just absolutely incredible. And I love Ted Lasso season 3. It was awesome, and I love it.
I need to watch some more Star Trek. You're really repping the Star Trek in these lists.
Oh.
All right, my number 5 was another show that you recommended to me, and I binged this thing so freaking fast, and that's Silo. This show was so freaking good. It's got everything I love in a show, like a post-apocalyptic world. I love the idea of like an underground civilization, and is Rebecca Ferguson is great in this show. Just all the characters are really interesting, and it's got some cool twists, and I ate it up. It's great, easy recommendation on TV.
I do.
Really good. My number 4, he just talked about it, Ted Lasso season 3. He did recommend this to me too. I really liked Ted Lasso as a whole. The characters are great. It made me cry. It made me laugh a ton. It's a really good show, and this was a good ending. You know, I will say they knew when to end it. I feel like it's a good way to end it. And yeah, we could do some spin-offs or something later on down the road. I would be fine with that too. But the main storyline of it, I thought, was like perfectly well done and had a great ending to it. My number 3 is Shrinking. This is one of the shows I can't believe is not on your list for some reason. This was fantastic, and after I watched this, I was like, oh my gosh, I think I like this better than Ted Lasso. Harrison Ford, fantastic in the show, so good. But everybody's really good. I loved all the characters in the show. It's Jason Segel, fantastic. It's got a lot of heart. It's funny. Really liked it. Really looking forward to another season of that. And then my number 2. Honestly, this is the best video game adaptation of any kind, in my opinion.
Better than Super Mario?
It's better than Super Mario.
Oh,
Come on, man.
Okay, I was just,
Come on, man.
Not a bad year for video game adaptation, just saying.
Just freaking fantastic. You're right, they changed some stuff, but they did it in a smart way. It's beautiful cinematography, well directed. I was one of the people who was like, man, I mean, I like Pedro Pascal, but he's not really like a Joel kind of guy. But he brings new stuff to the character. The Mormont girl is great as Ellie, and I will say I liked your explanation of why it moved from 1 to 3 for you, because it's kind of the same thing for me too. The game is so good, and it's like if we didn't ever get this, you know, we still got the game, and it's good for a good like live action, especially when we get like all these Disney live action where we're taking the animated movies and I think it's so really well done. It's very good, but there's still something about that original experience we had playing the game, and it just doesn't ever get there for me. But it's still a great show. I mean, it's number 2. It's fantastic. I can't wait to see what they do with season 2, and I heard they're going to change it up a little bit more too, and include like DLC and go a different route with it. It's not just going to be exactly like part 2 the game, which might be kind of better because part 2 is kind of a letdown for a lot of people.
Yeah, man, I never even finished part 2.
Oh wow!
So because I didn't like it. I didn't like the story. I didn't like the gameplay was fine. It was just story grabs me.
Yeah.
And when story doesn't grab me, which is very disappointing. So, Shrinking, I love Shrinking. It just fell off to the side, and it would be, if I probably had a 4th honorable mention, Shrinking might get there, might not get there. But I did really like Shrinking. It's another good Apple series. So I love repping that Apple. And yeah, my number 1 is Silo. Silo was recommended to me, And I saw it on, because I have an Apple device, and it was always like, Silo, it's on Apple. I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. And I have to say, Rebecca Ferguson might be one of the most underappreciated actresses in Hollywood, because every time I see her in anything, I love her in it, and I guess I always take her for granted.
Forget about her a little
bit.
I
mean, like Dune, Mission Impossible, the Greatest Showman. Like, there's all kinds of stuff. And Silo might be her best work yet. And I absolutely loved what the show. And it's sci-fi. It feels like Fallout with the vaults. And then like Tim Robbins is like such a bad guy in the show. And then like Common. Yeah. He's not been good at anything other than maybe John Wick Chapter 2. Yeah. And he's incredible in the show. The show is just, it's perfect sci-fi. And that's what I love about Silo. And then where it goes and where it can go, it leads me for all kinds of great opportunities. So yeah, Silo, special 2023 in my opinion. So that's why it's number 1.
I really liked Silo too. And just hearing you talk about it, it's getting me excited about it. It was hard to do the list. My number 1 is a show I know you're gonna love when you watch it. Because I didn't know anything about this. My uncle told me about it. He said this is gonna be your kind of thing, and that is Blue Eye Samurai. It's freaking fantastic. It's a little bit. I keep saying it's like Mulan meets. It's got a little bit of Frozen in there. I don't know how to explain it. It's a samurai show, obviously. So it's really freaking good. Animation alone is some of the most breathtaking animation you'll ever see put to TV. It's got a great story. It reminds me a lot of like Avatar. Story-wise, every character that comes across the screen is fantastic. Even villains, you know, you start off, you're like, oh, this guy is the worst, and then by the end of the scene, you're liking the villains of the show. It's really good. It is a hard R. I do tell people that because there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of sex for an animated show. Yeah. But you know, if you've seen something like The Witcher or House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones, it's not gonna blow you away or anything, startle you in any way. But it's fantastic. I loved it. I binged it in a day and a half, pretty much, and I was so excited when they announced the second season of it because I think it's got some really cool places to go. So I loved it.
Yo, I just realized you didn't have Witcher on your list. I'm kind of shocked by that.
No, yeah, I enjoyed Witcher. But I'm like you.
I feel like the show. I feel like the legs get cut off from splitting the season in half.
Yeah.
Because then it's like everything builds up, and then you're like, all right, see you in a month.
There's a lot of background stuff going on with that show too that kind of ruins it because you're like, because Henry Cavill is The Witcher and he is the show, and now he's not, and so it makes you kind of depressed to even think about it.
I hear you. Okay, that makes sense because I was just like he does have Witcher in there. I was just thinking that. So, anyways, guys, that ends another excellent top 10 video. I hope y'all enjoyed. This is also the 10-year anniversary of our first top 10 TV list that we did back in 2014. So very cool that this is our 10th year doing top 10s. Hope to be doing another 10 years of top 10s.
Oh. Me too.
Alright guys, so
peace out.
So guys, if you like this video, click that like button, subscribe to see more, and tell your friends about Easy Nation. All too easy.